Divine peace and blessings this Monday, July 10th, 2017, preparing to broadcast live on Blog Talk Radio. For my YouTube family, I appreciate you. I welcome you. Just be patient. Allow my theme music to play through, and then I will begin my live broadcast. Divine, all blessed, peace and love, joy and prosperity. You are listening now live to the Divine Prince, Pan-African spiritualist, practitioner, author, and advisor, Elagun Oloye Hoodoo Obeya Bokur, sharing with you in all things spiritual, mystical, metaphysical, cosmic, evolutionary, revolutionary, healing, and holistic from a Pan-African Hoodoo world spiritualist perspective, understanding that all is indeed a blessing. If you can just see beyond the veils, for it is all just an illusion and a test and one of the greatest divine mysteries of this life cycle. This is my personal prayer, my mantra, affirmation, reverberation, reiteration, and my ever-living reality. And it is crucial to the very foundation of my understanding, my teaching, my walk, my works along this divine, all-blessed life path and journey. It is how I, the Divine Prince, make sense out of all that we are challenged with here in our daily existence on Mother, Father, Earth. And it is my personal place of power and understanding. That place from where I begin, the place from where I realize, crystallize all my endeavors, understanding that I and I alone create and co-create my divine destiny, and I alone create and co-create my divine, all blessed reality. And so it is. Ashe. I greet you. Welcome. Habaragani. Today is Monday, July 10th, 2017. You are listening now live to, as well as viewing live, viewing in archive by way of YouTube here on this Monday, July 10th, by way of Blog Talk Radio, www.blogtalkradio.com/the-divine-prince. And my YouTube channel is www.youtube.com/VOODOOTYE. Voodoo Thai. I appreciate all of you for joining me here each and every day at high noon U.S. Central Standard Time for the Power Lunch, Hoodoo, New Orleans Voodoo Secrets and Recipes, with the Divine Prince, Thai Potions, Hoodoo Central, House of the Divine Prince, and of course the Masking Mardi Gras Indian Tribe, Black Hawk Voodoo. This is our home. This is our place of gathering. This is our place of building, planning, preparing, creation, and of course our point of moving forward. This shared space on Blog Talk Radio, this shared space in my YouTube page, my YouTube circle, is a virtual space of gods and goddesses where we come together, where we can build, share, teach, edify, build up, show support for each other in a virtual way. But many of you know my Kwanzaa motive, my Kwanzaa push for 2017 is that we would take our words, our activities, our memes, our feel-good post beyond just the realm of this virtual space that is Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Blog Talk Radio, and the like, but that we would then actualize, materialize, crystallize this virtual showing into something that's real and concrete in the physical realm. Step outside your Facebook. Some of us have people that we connect with each and every day. And I've tested this. Many of you know how I've already tested this. You may be one of those who post every day, click like every day, show love and support every day in the virtual realm. And I've tried to call you. I've tried to connect with you. I've tried to email you and get you to meet me in the physical, real world. And it's now July 10th. And that hasn't happened. And that is where our demonstration becomes important. I sort of subtitled the show today, Family, even though we know we are still keeping with our ongoing theme about the bastardization of these traditions, the appropriation of our traditions for other purposes, commercial purposes, marketing purposes, tourism purposes, people's own personal agendas, but not in order to honor and show glory and show respect to the ancestors, to the voodoo, to those who truly laid down these pathways that we now walk upon, these shoulders that we now sit and anchor ourselves upon. So I want us to take some of our rhetoric, our Facebook and Instagram show, and bring that into the new world, bring that into the real world. Step into the grassroots community, your own neighborhood, your own family. Many of us have strong positions, strong ideas about religion, spirituality, politics, what it means to be black or white, what it means to be American today in 2017. And social media and the internet allows us to push and promote and proselytize many ideas that don't always line up with who we really are every day. And that's what I'm speaking to when I speak to authenticity and us showing up for what we put out, for what we speak from our mouth. It's not just enough to proclaim it, to shout it from the hills, to prophesize it from our mouths if we can't apply it to our friends, family, mothers, fathers, children, our immediate circle, and then expand that outward into our community. It is about result-oriented work. It is about demonstration, what we do with what we say we believe. It's not enough just to put on a head wrap, to put on a garment, to project a look, to put a prayer dolly on your head, you know, to put a Islamic cap or a Judaism and Jewish cap on your head and say that you're representing something. It's more about how we interact at the crossroads. The crossroads is where the activity is. The crossroads is where your beliefs are challenged, your knowledge is challenged, where what you say you know and understand is challenged. And many of us are challenged right at the family level. It's one thing to acknowledge our ancestors, to set up a shrine, to set up Bovada, to call and invite these spirits into our homes, into our lives, and to aid and assist us in our endeavors, particularly our immediate endeavors, our finances, our money, our bills, our children, our neighbors, our friends, our co-workers, spouses, people we have to interact with each and every day that play a direct influence or that direct role on how we experience life. So no matter what your religion is, no matter what your belief system is, no matter what you prophesize that your understanding is or is not, that you're committed to these institutions is or is not, is ultimately in your demonstration where the Christian bleeds out, where the Islam bleeds out, where the real voodoo comes to the surface in you, where the real wicked and the real witch stands up in you, is in those moments. I find it curious in those moments when people then get backed against the wall, get backed in the corner, and start to seek help, who they then call to, who they then seek out to bring some relief to that immediate request, to that immediate call. It is only in that moment in time space. It's only at the crossroads. It's only when you're challenged. It's only when you're at the point of sale, at the checkout line, and you've been offended, or you think you've been offended, or you're not getting what you want, that what truly stands up in you stands out and speaks forward. It is in those moments where we think we've lost control, when we think we're out of touch with our discipline, that who we are comes to the surface. It's when we're challenged. It's when someone close to us passes away, dies, makes their transition. It's when we lose our main source of income and have to recreate ourselves. It's when we relocate to a new land, a new city, a new place, and have to actualize our words and live in our plan. That's when we're standing at the crossroads. Literally, figuratively, that's when we're standing at the crossroads. And that's often when the audience, and I'm using that word symbolically, is observing you. The audience is your friends, your family, your children, your church members, your religious members, people who think and believe like you, people who have that opportunity to be present at the crossroads with you and then observe your demonstration. And quite often that is your children, your siblings, your family, your friends, your peers. There's a very common saying, I'm not sure who to quite attribute it to. Many people have sort of rewritten it and laid claim to it. Many who teach in the prosperity ministries today, literally and figuratively. That could be anybody from T.D. Jakes to Susie Orman. They're all a part of the prosperity prophetizing of today, the economic speak, the economic preach of today. Many of them have repeated this belief, but I believe it to be an ancient one, maybe even a Kemetic one. But the 5 people closest to you, the 5 people that you spend the most time with. Some of you feel isolated, and we know isolation is an illusion. No one's truly isolated. Isolation is an illusion. If you're in an apartment building, you're in your place and you're alone, there's someone on the other side of that wall. Now, whether you make contact with them, whether you greet them when you see them, whether you acknowledge their humanity or not, is another subject. And again, we now treat our family the same way. I have blood relatives that don't communicate with me, that don't want my name spoken because I prophesize voodoo. I stand up in representation of the ancestors and our ancestors that intersect at the crossroads of voodoo. I'm okay with that, but it's illusion. Whether my name is mentioned or not, whether we show love to each other or not, we're still connected. So those fathers that are absent are only absent physically, and the physical is one-dimensional space. We operate in 11 time spaces, 11 spaces that make up the wholeness of the reality that we all experience. So physicality is just one. That emotional response that you get when that name is brought up, when you're confronted with the challenge, is another space unto itself. So even if you're not in physical contact, there's still that emotional tie to that ethereal connection to the person, place, or thing. That in itself is another dimensional space. So even though we don't acknowledge, don't show love, don't reach out to in a way that we once did, there's still that connection. Space doesn't eliminate that connection. Refusing to communicate doesn't eliminate that connection. And then that shows up in your children, your grandchildren, your nieces, your nephews, other distant members of the family, other members of your community. We referenced the other day, why do my children do what they do? Why do they act the way they act? It was the very last thing that I was saying as we were closing out the message last Thursday with Donatus King live on Facebook Live on Donatus King's page, as well as reposted in a video format on YouTube. The very last thing many of you remember me saying was, how then do we explain the behavior? How then do we explain the manifestation of things that we say are not us, that we say we didn't teach? I didn't teach my child that. I didn't teach my children that. We didn't role model that in our family, in our community. So that could not possibly exist in this particular scenario. We've got to examine that and make sense of that from a spiritual perspective, from a metaphysical perspective. So the disconnectedness that we feel in our family, we don't distance ourselves from that by then moving away geographically, physically. You carry then that complex issue into every other relationship you encounter then on. We move away sometimes to avoid, to escape, to get relief from certain things. But we don't run from anything. You don't really move from anything. You only move right back towards the center. And the center is here. The center is not out here. The center is here. The center is not out in cosmic space. The center is here. The center is not in the realm of spirit or God or the ancestors. It dwells right in here. And our doorway in and out of that, our connection in and out of that dimensional space begins here. So in running, once upon a time, I was the master runner. I left home, many of you know, at 14, made one or two attempts to reconnect at 15, 16. It wasn't happening. Ended up leaving again. And then I'm out into the world. Now I'm having to learn on my own. And many of the complicated issues that then developed with my extended family, first cousins, second cousins, aunts, uncles, grandparents, siblings alike, truly had its root in that time. Because it was at that time when I was running, when I was the homeless kid, when I was the youth out there with no family, that I needed you the most, and you were not there for me. And many of you all's spiritual journey will mirror that. You've exhausted what you think you know, what you think you believe, what you think you've been taught, what you've experienced, and how you think you've processed that up until this particular crossroads in your life. And now you're soul journeying. Soul, one word soul, journeying is another. I like to put those two words together. Soul journeying. That journey of looking for, seeking connection to, trying to make sense of, trying to understand. And we mask it by many words, many movements, many prophets, many teachers, many ways of understanding. But ultimately, we're looking for family and the demonstration of family, loyalty, commitment, support, dependence, not codependence, but dependence, responsibility, accountability, the very same things we would like to hold to our employee relationships, our business relationships and partnerships, our financial business relationships and partnerships, our career relationships and partnerships, our community relationships and partnerships. When we look at our leaders, whether they be politicians or grassroots leaders, accountability. What happened to the money? What happened to the project? What happened to the plan? How did that move forward? How did that manifest? Who do we hold accountable for the positive outcome of that, the negative outcome of that? And we look often to our family, friends, peers for that same level of accountability. So family is a very generic word. In America, we talk about family, and it triggers all kind of feelings. Traditional family, what is that? The family that the Bible ordains, what is that? You know, there are all kind of ways we sort of manipulate and play around with this idea of family. But ultimately, my belief and the position from which I often operate in is that most people, if not all, are seeking family, even before love and relationships. We're seeking to fill and fulfill and replace and redo and renew issues within your own family experience, your own family background, which becomes your ancestral or generational background. And often, and women in particular, in this culture, in this society, in the Western mindset, are conditioned to seek a mate, a partner, to fulfill that dream, that journey, that illusion of what family is. So, love and relationships for the man or the woman can often reflect and mirror what your true feelings are, your true beliefs are about family. And today, I can say in earnest that many are seeking a new politic, a new religious point of view, a new spiritual point of view with roots that tie directly back to how we identify family. The healing process interconnected with family. So even if I'm not always using that word, family, you now know something more about me. It's at the root of my foundational programming. It's at the root of my foundational understanding of the world. We can't have a village mindset. We can't have an indigenous mindset, which I believe is a requirement for going back to move forward. We're looking back at old world belief systems, indigenous practices, indigenous cultural roots, ancestry, in order to find something that we can then pick up in the present that will then propel us and move us forward and be of some benefit to us in the future. So we have to go back to move forward. So some people play around with the word game. Well, it's in the past and let it go and let the dead bury the dead. And that is a truth, a relative truth in a very limited one-dimensional set of circumstances in a very limited time space. But as we expand our consciousness out, as your consciousness grows more towards God consciousness, Ori, and in balance with Ori, then you begin to look beyond just one-dimensional understanding of whatever idea, subject matter you're focusing on in that conversation, whether it be spirit, whether it be personal, how to address something very specific in real world time. And I try to speak in these terms because, as I've said on many of my shows, once upon a time I said it daily as a part of my show. Spiritual knowledge, spiritual power lies in its efficacy, its ability to manifest real world, life affecting change right now in this present time space. So we can wax philosophical, we can wax religious, we can get caught up in the words, in the languages. We can speak Yoruba and Arabic and Hebrew and Akan and Fan and lose sight of how does that really apply to me right now in this present moment in time space. I might need housing right now. My bill might need to be paid right now. My health might need to be attended to and brought within balance right now. Some of you have right now circumstances. You don't have a whole lot of space, literally or figuratively, to think in terms of tomorrow, or maybe even to act in terms of tomorrow, or so you believe. Many of you are in a scenario that has to be addressed by 5 o'clock today, by 10 a.m. tomorrow. And so you're asking yourself, how do I apply spiritual values, spiritual principles, indigenous old world ways of viewing things? How do I apply the law of attraction? How do I apply all of this good feel conversation in a way that's going to be able to be beneficial to me, my partner, my spouse, my children, my family, my community right now and today? And that is the type of show I wish to do here in this time space. That is the type of ministry I wish House of the Divine Prince to be. My prayer is that people would see that demonstration. I think a part of the necessary homework to making that more clear is the sharing of our experience. I think I'm guilty even of not sharing enough of my experience. And sometimes we get caught up in the drama telling of the experience. And there's a platform for that. Novel writing and biography writing and sharing your story, and literary pursuits that require drama and coloring of the story, so that you keep your audience attention. But when I'm doing ministry, I'm often focused on the ministry, the healing, the result-oriented answer, the result-oriented response. And in so doing, all you see is the all is a blessing. All you see sometimes is to respect the voodoo, respect the ancestors. And you don't see the struggle behind. You don't see the year-long, year and a half long, 2-year-long struggle to make Black Hawk Voodoo happen on Mardi Gras morning. All you see is pretty feathers, pretty colors, plumes. You hear the rhythm, you see the motion, you see the action, you see the activity. The effort, the ebo, the homework that goes into making that happen is lost on you. And so in your pursuit, sojourners, don't allow the experience of the writer, the teacher, the elder, those who came before you in these traditions, don't allow the value embedded in their experience to be lost on you. You don't have to pick up a crack pipe to know crack kills. You can absorb the value of that experience through demonstration. We look at the addiction in our community, and we should not have to walk that path to understand how addiction works. So I use that as a symbolic euphemism, a symbolic representation of how we should view the spirit journey, the soul journey, if you will. And we must humble ourselves to the experience of others, to the experience of the homeless man, to the experience of the sick individual and how they came to be sick. We shouldn't have to watch another smoker smoke their lives into sickness to understand that maybe I need to stop smoking, or I need to adjust my smoking, or I need to re-examine my health in general. But for some reason, we get in our ego when it comes to spirituality and religion. The platform of today is about ego. How powerful am I? How much greater than you am I? How much more can my gods do than yours? How much greater are my ancestors in manifestation than yours? And then we're not often seeing that when these demonstrators are at the crossroads, when they're in their feelings and in their emotions. And many of you post your feelings and your emotions when you're at the crossroads, when the tragedies happen, when the negatives happen. Many of you post that. So we see your demonstration. We know then and only then and in that moment what you truly understand and believe. When I returned to New Orleans in 2009, post-Hurricane Katrina, and had to go through being homeless and being at the Salvation Army, I broadcast this show from the bathroom of the Salvation Army. I wanted people to know how much time, how much effort, what did I do, what took place, what happened between my transition from A to B, and what did my ancestral knowledge do to push that forward. That's why I did that. So I'm guilty of not showing enough of my struggle. It's a struggle sometimes just to do the show regularly every day and in balance with all the other things that are on my plate. It's a struggle to do sometimes what appears to be for no pay, when you need to be worrying about your phone bill, your gas bill, your electric bill, your children's school supplies. So that type of data is often lost in this format. All we see is people flexing their gods and flexing their ancestors and flexing their Orisha and Loa romance. But when they're up at night, when they're in the battle, when they're in the struggle, we're often not seeing that demonstrated. So the actions of bringing things to video now, bringing things to TV now, are not just about vanity. They're not just because myself or Brother Joshua or the House of Voodoo for that matter, the House of Divine Prince and Black Hawk Voodoo for that matter. It's not about us wanting to be seen. It's about us bringing real life on real life terms out into the forefront in a way that people can absorb the demonstration. Some of you refuse leadership. Some of you refuse to embrace godparents. Some of you refuse to embrace protocol. And you really do think you can get it in the book. You can just watch and observe. And there is a way to watch and observe. I just don't think that many of you, 9 out of the 10 who think that they are self-initiating, are just running from doing the work. Self-initiating requires much more work than someone that has an assistant, whether that be their godparents, elders, to sort of walk them through the crossroads. So I'm not closed off to, I'm not averse to the idea of self-initiation. I just don't think you have the balls for that. I just don't think that you're big enough for that. I just don't think you're humble enough for that, because it requires often absorbing the experience, sitting at the foot of elders and absorbing, not challenging, not rewriting, not trying to redo, not trying to tell great grandma how she could have done it better. Great grandma has a limited amount of time to be present with you right now in the physical. Your elders have a set amount of time to be present with you in the physical. Our elders are 50, 60, 70, 80, 90 years old. They have a set amount of time to be present in the physical with us. So all we have time to do right now is to absorb their knowledge. We don't have time to rewrite and redo their knowledge. And it is in that the power of respect the voodoo, respect the ancestors, respect those who come before, respect the Egungun, respect Galede, respect Gede. It is in the demonstration that we show respect for the ancestors, not just the words, not just the prophetizing, not just the coming out and showing up in white once a year for Mayafa and being present and pretty in the pictures. It's about how we represent them every single day. And if Big Mama can't count on you while she's living to bring you flowers, to bring her produce, to bring her the things that she needs to attend to her health, her wellness, her well-being, her finances, then yeah, it's going to be a bit of a struggle when we go into our ancestral work to get each and every one of us where we need to be to connect in that realm. Please forgive me, as I often do. I've overshot my time. Blog Talk Radio has already cut us off in the live broadcasting. I appreciate each and every one of you for being present with me. Those of you now still listening on the phone lines, we are in archive, as well as my YouTube viewers who will be watching this in archive. I most certainly do appreciate you. I support you. I am with you. I am present with you in your endeavors, literally and figuratively. I invite you to continue to enjoy me, to join me, to participate with me, to share in this creative space with me at high noon U.S. Central Standard Time each and every weekday, 12 noon U.S. Central Standard Time, For the Power Lunch, Hoodoo, New Orleans Voodoo Secrets and Recipes. I am your humble host, the Divine Prince, Pan-African spiritualist, practitioner, author, and advisor. I am here for you, local New Orleanian. I am here for you, neighbor. I am here for you, Congo Square member. I am here for you, but I'm also here for each and every person in the World Wide Web who shares with us, who supports with us, who sends offering and donation with us, who seeks us for your readings and consultations and your work. We are here for you 24 hours a day, virtually 7 days a week. Technology allows us, affords us that. We do understand that we are human, so we do sleep and we do eat and we do have schedules to attend to, but I always respond as quickly as I possibly can by way of email at www.houseofthedivineprince.com. My direct email address is divineprince@houseofthedivineprince.com. I'm having just a little bit of problem with my Skype number right now. Many of you are calling my Skype number, area code 504-265-1699. Please bear with me. I will get that straightened out, and then my Skype number will forward again automatically to my private cell number. So if you're trying to reach me and I'm not being responsive to you by way of Skype, just send me an email, divineprince@houseofthedivineprince.com. I'll be more than happy to respond to you. All is truly and indeed a blessing. I look forward to sharing and caring, revealing and manifesting with you on our next Hoodoo, New Orleans Voodoo Secrets and Recipes here at high noon U.S. Central Standard Time on Blog Talk Radio, as well as simulcast and rebroadcast on YouTube. The live listen-in and call-in number live at 12 noon, 347-215-8967. You must press the number 1 on your telephone keypad in order for me to acknowledge your hand being raised. You will often in the video see me look off. I'm looking to see if people have raised their hand so that I can acknowledge them during the live broadcast. Of course, that is not available to you during a recorded broadcast. So I look forward to seeing you tomorrow, Tuesday, July 11th, 7/11 at noon. All is a blessing. Ashe.